Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings. I'm Michael B. Beckwith, founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center, and your host, Take Back Your Mind. Today, Take Back Your Mind Life Question of the Week happens, and I'm so glad you tuned in. Lily from Boston asked this question. I've always been interested in spirituality and the more mysterious side of life. Over the past year, as I've been navigating my sobriety from alcohol, my meditation practice and commitment to self-improvement have helped me immensely in dealing with some extremely difficult physical challenges. However, my husband's worldview tends toward materialism. However, and although we used to discuss and even debate these subjects, lately, he's become completely adverse to any topics related to what he calls pseudoscience, as well as spirituality, the paranormal, or miracles and mysteries of life that have not yet been explained by our current scientific models. I'm beginning to let go of my concerns about what he thinks about me, my practices and my beliefs, but how can I best maintain my sovereignty and nurture my intuitive interests while also communicating to my husband that these practices and lessons have inherent value? So, Lily, you're in a mixed marriage. You're an individual who is open and receptive to growing, developing, and unfolding spiritually. You're navigating your sobriety. You understand that there are things that are sometimes unexplained by the current scientific model. And so you have to accept that. You can't change your husband. You continue to work on yourself. You continue to meditate. You continue to have insight. However, the current scientific model is quantum physics and epigenetics. It has replaced a stark materialistic scientific point of view. Many people still may be living in the past where the materialistic scientific model was in existence, 30s, 40s, 50s. But over the last 30 years, the new scientific model is quantum physics, which the language of quantum physics is very close to mysticism. Unified field of consciousness, unified field of awareness. We're all one in this unified field. Sounds like mysticism to me. Perhaps you might want to study The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who, this is not pseudoscience, this is biology that actually teaches. Bruce Lipton is the godfather of the field of epigenetics, that which is above genetics. Actually shows you how you can change your own DNA, your own biology, by your belief and by your thoughts. So what was deemed pseudoscience 30 years ago is now a part of our new biology, emerging progressive biology, you see. So your husband is living in the past of an old scientific model that doesn't exist anymore. So your job is to keep growing and glowing. And when opportunities come up for dialogue, perhaps if you read The Biology of Belief, perhaps if you read The Placebo Effect by Joe Dispenza, you can just have in your mental toolkit some wonderful science that corroborates your spiritual practice. But we're way past spirituality being woo-woo. That's back in the 50s and 60s. But only among the masses, because governmental agencies, CIA, they were practicing these things long time ago. So don't give up faith. Keep doing your spiritual work. So your question is, how can I maintain my sovereignty and nurture my intuitive interests while also communicating to my husband that these practices and lessons have inherent value? You become the example. When you meditate and you study and you practice, there is a character change. He will see. You don't have to explain it to him. He will see the difference in your life. He will see you being more peaceful. He will see me maybe being more creative. He might see you being more entrepreneurial. There will be a change in you in which you will become unbotherable by his disbelief as you continue to grow and shine your light. So instead of trying to convince him, be your real self. Show him. But don't do it just to show him. Do it because you've been called into a greater expression of yourself. You understand? I remember there was a great practitioner by the name of Ventura Papke. Her husband didn't believe any of this stuff. They were married. They're happily married. He let her go to church. He let her have a spiritual practice. Not he let her like he was over her, but I mean, she had her spiritual practice. She saw clients. She was a great mystic. He didn't believe in all this stuff. He loved his wife. She loved her husband. Then one day, she was coming home from an event, a spiritual event. She's driving home. Smoke started coming out of the engine. She had to pull over to the side on the freeway. It was at night. This was prior cell phones and all of that. It was a number of years ago. So she's stuck out in the middle of the night. And it's smoke coming out. So she does what she does. She went into prayer. She did an affirmative spiritual mind treatment and prayed for her safe travel home and for her car to work. Anyway, she turned and the ignition turned on. She drove home. She pulled into her driveway. She said to her husband, would you check on the car? It stopped in the freeway. I prayed. I got it going. And, now it's in the driveway. See what's wrong with it. We have to put it in the shop. So he comes out. He looks at the car. He comes back in the house. He said, you drove that car home? He said, it's impossible. She says, what do you mean? She says, the fire burned the coil to the battery. Your battery wasn't even connected to the engine. You did not drive that car home. She said, you saw me pull into the driveway. I drove the car home. How did you do that? I prayed, the car started, and I drove it home. He became a believer. Suddenly, he's like, I can't explain this. I don't know. I saw the car drive. It's impossible that this car drove. The fire burned up the battery. Okay, you're up to something. And he started going to church with her. He started reading the books about the possibility of the mind and miracles. And after a few years, he not only he supported her in her work and drove her to her places where she had to speak, and he became a student. She loved him. He loved her. But when he saw this miracle in her life, he had a sudden shift of consciousness. I'm not saying to drive a car home that doesn't work. I'm just saying you practice and become the next great vision version of yourself, because you may not be able to convince him, you see. Just be yourself. Peace and blessings, Lily. I hope this was helpful. Hey, thank you for joining me today. If you'd like to ask a question, please email me at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. And you know what? Your question just might be featured. Have a beautiful and bright day.